So I'm sitting in my car waiting for my youngest son, to play football, and I thought I'd take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself. People always ask me. Um, I am Ellen Antoine, a functional integrative medicine doctor. Absolutely love what I do, but I have a bit of a journey, an interesting one that I think many people need to know so that they can know there is hope and healing out there for their own health issues. So I grew up in New York, and I always knew that I wanted to be a doctor. From a very young age, I was helping people. I was the one out there helping injured animals, and it was just always my plan in my life. But I also was this person that thought I was going to come up with all these amazing inventions. I always had this mind of, I want to fix it, I want to figure it out and make it better. And so it was a really natural choice for me to pick emergency medicine, which I did, and went through emergency medicine residency and practiced emergency medicine for 12 years. I absolutely loved being an ER doctor and thought I would do it for forever. But in 2004, my husband was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor, and we were told that he had 2 to 5 years to live, and I was pregnant with our 5th child, so I stopped working. As you can imagine, that's earth-shattering period of time in your life, and praise God that my husband was miraculously healed, but we didn't know that at the time. So I did stop working and ultimately delivered our 5th child, and just was exhausted, and I really felt like it was normal because here I am with 5 kids ages 5 and under. I'm breastfeeding. My husband just went through a diagnosis of a brain tumor, but it went on for an extended period of time, and my joints hurt, I had chronic yeast issues, and I figured it's time to go to the doctor. And I was diagnosed with all the markers for lupus, which is an autoimmune condition where the body attacks itself, particularly the joints, and it's not known to be a reversible disease. And ultimately ended up seeing a rheumatologist for many years and was told that I likely needed to be on immune suppressive medications for the rest of my life. And that really wasn't something I was interested in doing. So he told me to come back when I planned on starting those medications. Around the same time, our oldest son was having a lot of behavioral issues. And so being, a mom and also a physician, I wanted to figure out what was wrong. So Scott and I brought our son to all the best specialists around, and we were told multiple different things. We were told he was on the spectrum for autism. We were told that he had ADD, and one of the specialists actually told us that he was psychotic and schizophrenic, which is not a diagnosis you can even make in children. Every one of those specialists made a recommendation that he be on several different psychiatric type of medications, and this was just not something we were interested in doing. But as you can imagine, that's a lot to handle. At the same time, we had twins 2.5 years younger, and they both were diagnosed with speech and language learning disabilities and were being pulled out of class for speech therapy as well as specialized tutoring for our son. Around the same time, our 4th was having difficulty even sitting at the dinner table, and he clearly had severe ADD. I was getting called multiple times a week from his teacher saying he could not function in the classroom. So out of our frustration, Scott and I decided that we would put him on medication for his ADD, and within 2 weeks he became suicidal, and that obviously was stopped. Scott was then diagnosed with epilepsy as a result of his brain tumor, and it was just overwhelming, as you can imagine. Our 5th was healthy as far as we knew and didn't have any diagnoses or anything significant going on, but it was absolutely overwhelming. It was a period of time in my life that I just felt really hopeless and helpless, and here we were, 2 physicians, and we were all sick, and we thought we were doing all these healthy things. We were eating whole grains and fresh fruit and living a lifestyle that would be considered by all societal standards to be one that's quite healthy. We didn't smoke, we didn't drink, we just rarely had McDonald's on a way to a soccer game or something like that. And so it was really in this frustration and in tears, quite frankly, that I got on the computer. I remember it clearly on a Friday afternoon, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I typed into the computer alternative therapies for And I don't remember what it was, but whatever it was, it brought me to a site that spoke about functional medicine. And I'd never heard of functional medicine, but it really resonated with me. Maybe it was because I do have that mind of I want to figure things out and I always want to make things better, but it just made sense to me to identify the root causes of disease and not just put a Band-Aid on something and try to just throw a bunch of medications at something to fix it. And so I decided I had to know more, and I really dove in head first and read everything I could possibly read about functional medicine, and then took every course that I possibly could take. And ultimately became one of the first class of practitioners certified by the Institute for Functional Medicine. Loved what I was learning so much, and didn't actually plan on intend on opening a practice, but I just really wanted to help my family and help my family get well. But Scott and I actually are two physicians out of 121 across the country that are actually board certified in integrative holistic medicine at this time. But like I said, I didn't intend on opening a practice initially, and so I took the things that I was learning, which ultimately are the things that we do with our own patients. We take a very extensive history with our patients. We ask them to fill out a very long questionnaire. We sit down with them for an extended period of time to really write out what we call a timeline of their life. And then we do a physical examination. And then based on those things, we come up with potential root issue concerns. And that's what guides our laboratory and ancillary testing that we decide to do in our patients. And so in the case of our son who was struggling, I sat down with my son and I did a timeline of his life. And I answered all of these questions that I had never really thought about, but that I currently ask my patients. I did a physical examination on him, and there was nothing obvious. So I did some baseline laboratory testing on him. And what we found is that he's got a genetic mutation in something called his MTHFR, and he has difficulty processing folic acid and methylating. We also found that he's got some sensitivities to particular foods, dairy and gluten in particular. And so we pulled out gluten and dairy for our oldest son, and we gave him a B complex with some methylated B vitamins in it, and we added in some fish oil and probiotics and changed our diet to mostly, as best as we could, organic and grass-fed beef and those types of things. Within a very short period of time, the behavior issues that we saw in our son were no longer there, to the point that in about 3 weeks, I had 2 teachers in one day come up to me and ask me what was wrong with him, thinking he was sick because he was actually acting normally in school. We did the same thing with our other children, and changed diets, pulled out things that were noted to be sensitivities and pro-inflammatory types of foods, added some basic nutrients into their life, and within a very short period of time, the speech therapist came up to me and said they no longer qualify for speech therapy. They became straight A students on their own, and it was really amazing. Our fourth, who was struggling to even eat dinner with us and go to school, is definitely still an active learner. He can get through 7 hours of school without a problem, certainly eat through dinner. Does he talk too much sometimes? Does he not always pay attention like he should? Yeah, but he doesn't require drugs. He's certainly very functional, and a trampoline works just as well, or some physical activity to get that extra energy out. Scott hasn't had a seizure in 12 years, and to everybody's amazement, after many years of seeing a rheumatologist, I have no evidence of having lupus. This is not known to be a reversible disease, so it's really amazing. So because of the changes that took place in our own family, friends and family started asking me to take care of them, which I did, and I loved it. I'm passionate about it. So I started taking care of friends and family, and then it became their friends and their family members, and it was at that point that I realized I really need to open a small practice and get malpractice insurance, which I did, and started seeing patients in the small office for about 1.5 years. And then currently moved into our larger facility over 3 years ago, and at this point I've seen over 1,100 patients. I absolutely love what I do. It's just an amazing thing to be able to bring hope and healing to our patients and help them become fully functional for life, and I absolutely love it. So that's a little bit about me as I sit here and wait to hop out of the car and go watch my son play football. Hope you have a wonderful Saturday. Bye.